Given current rates, should you cash out your 401k to pay off your mortgage? That's my man Larry Kotlikoff is writing about this, and someone just sent me this morning. I love Larry Kotlikoff, so I figured I'm very interested in this topic, and a lot of you are as well. So let's read what Larry says. I interviewed Larry 2 years ago, actually, for the podcast. One of my first interviews I did, and maybe someday I'll get him on again. But I didn't have any subscribers. Just real nice guy. The audio was poor, to say the least, as before Zoom. But I'd like to try it again because I like Larry. But anyway, let's see what he said. So just FYI, who is old Larry? He is an economist at BU, a fellow of the American Academy, National Bureau of Economic Research associate. President of, he's got retirement planning software, which I'm a big fan of, by the way. And he wrote Spend Till the End, which is one of my favorite all-time financial planning books for sure. All right. So cashing out your 401k and using the proceeds to pay off your mortgage lets you borrow at a low rate and invest at a high rate and do so at no risk. Yes, your 2020 taxes will increase, but there'll likely still be a large net gain. The fact that your 401k is invested in stocks doesn't matter. Once you adjust for the risk, investing in the stocks is no different from investing in today's low-yield treasury bonds, i.e. on a risk-adjusted basis, stocks are now yielding a very low return. How do you adjust for risk? This was the thing with economists. Well, risk is a level of volatility. Is it? Is that really risk? I don't think so. The facts are, stocks have proven, and I'm not saying they will, I have no idea, to pay off handsomely relative to bonds. There'll be always scenarios where that. I was just arguing with a guy from a PhD in math from, where is he, from Brown or something, I can't remember. He's saying it's impossible for stocks for risk-free assets to outperform risk assets. And that's not true. It is. It's literally possible. The 30-year Treasury in 1982 proves that. But anyway, be that as it may. I still can't stand the idea of risk-adjusted, everything's the same. It's simply not true. It's just not. Because what exactly is risk? Is risk volatility? The 30-year Treasury is significantly volatile over these last, I'll show you right here. 30-year Treasury right here. Look at that. That's just for the last month, man. Can you see that? Hope you can see that. That's some serious volatility there. I mean, going from 2.97 to 0.83 in a 52-week time, and that's in the yield. That's volatile. So it's risk-free, and that can't go bankrupt. But why would you invest in that when you can just invest in stocks and recognize you're going to have the same volatility for the most part, probably higher, but still, that's a significant volatility, and you have the upside too. So I don't like this whole risk-adjusted thing. I think it's an economic fallacy. All right, be that as it may. Arbitrage is when you can sell an apple for $3 and buy an identical apple for $1. That transaction nets you $2. Thanks to extraordinary upheaval in financial markets from the COVID-1984 virus, there's a significant arbitrage opportunity for millions of homeowners. It entails withdrawing funds from retirement accounts to pay off your mortgage. Ideally, one would withdraw the requisite funds from Roth IRA accounts since they aren't taxable, but given today's mortgage and long-term government bond rates, the arbitrage can work even if you need to withdraw from a 401k and similar taxable account. It can even work if you have to pay 10% penalty on making withdrawals prior to the age of 59. Here's a hypothetical example he uses. Jack and Jill are 60 and 55. Jack earns $150,000 a year, but is just furloughed. Jill makes $50,000. Fortunately, her federal government job is secure, and they have $100,000 in their checking account to see them through. Jack figures he'll be out of work the rest of the year and then get back to work next year. They both plan to retire at 67, so that'll be 12 years for old Jill and 7 years for Mr. Jack, and immediately start their Social Security benefits. They plan to start smoothly withdrawing from their 401k accounts, which totals $1.1 million at 65. The couple have a 30-year fixed mortgage at $400,000 on their $600,000 home. The interest rate is 3 3/4. That's a perfectly safe obligation. It's far higher than the perfectly safe 1.27% they are earning on 30-year Treasury bonds, which they hold in their retirement accounts. The difference between 3.75 and 1.27 is 2.48. Multiplied by $400,000 and ignoring taxes, we're talking about $10,000 a year that they're losing by holding onto the mortgage. The amount they will lose will get smaller each year as the amortization increases, i.e. you're paying off more of the principal, more towards your principal each and every year, but we're still talking losing a great deal of money over the next 30 years. To see how much is involved, suppose Jack makes a special withdrawal of $500,000 from his 401k and uses $400,000 of this sum to immediately pay off the mortgage. Suppose further that the couple uses the remaining $100,000 to help pay the extra 2020 taxes resulting from the huge 401k withdrawal. Paying the extra taxes is no fun, but since the prevailing real adjusted long-term safe rate of return is essentially zero, deferring taxes in a retirement account provides no advantage. The only advantage that 401k now provides is deferring the payment of taxes on labor income until one's tax bracket is lower. All right, so what he's saying here is saying it's going to cost him, well, he's only using a 20% tax bracket. I'm assuming he's going to the checking account to pay the rest, because on a $500,000, they're going to be in, what, 37% tax bracket? 35, 37, somebody will just say 35. I can't remember what the tax brackets are anymore. So that's going to cost them $150,000, $175,000. So they're going to have to take $75,000 from checking plus that $100,000 in taxes from that $500,000. So that I'm not sure if Larry's factoring that, but they can. They get the $100,000 from the leftover from the 401k withdrawal, and they get $100,000 in cash. In Jack and Jill's case, taking $500,000 from the 401k will push them into an extra tax bracket, making this move seem off base. But it's not. Effectively earning an extra 2.4% on $400,000 for 30 years swamps the higher tax bracket concern. It can the figure, okay. So it's more of a sales pitch for a software, which I like, but I don't want to go in there. How will these moves raise Jack and Jill's bottom line? Lifetime discretionary spending is a present value of all future spending the couple can afford after paying all the future taxes. That's a tough one there. Anyway, the answer is a whopping $98,000, which almost fully makes up for Jack's loss of earnings this year. They can do even better. If they wait till 68 to start smoothly withdrawing the remaining retirement account and wait till 70 to take their Social Security benefits, their lifetime discretionary spending rises by an extra $310,000. In combination, the three moves net the couple an extra $400,000 of lifetime spending. If Jack had $400 in his 401k and $400 in his Roth, and he withdrew from the Roth to pay off the mortgage, the gain would be larger, about $129,000. All right, so then he talks about the CARES Act. He could withdraw $100,000 penalty free from the CARES Act. He talks about if you're under the age of 59. I can already hear the objections, but the stock market is a much better place for Jack and Jill to invest. Historically, stocks have yielded a very high rate of return on average, but the market, as recent weeks has once again made clear, is extremely risky. Stocks fell by 86% in the Great Depression and can do this our Greater Depression unless the administration follows, that he lays out a game plan here and here. But the stories about the stock market's past performance are a factor relevant. The riskiness of the stock market is being priced by the Treasury bond market on a continuous basis as people move from stocks to bonds to bills. Currently, people are willing to earn just 1.27 for 30 years because the market's risk is perceived so high. But that doesn't discount the stocks outperform. This is a safe return we can earn, which needs to be compared with a safe return we must pay on our mortgage. This is just weird to me. I mean, the safe return we can earn by being at 1.27 because there's no risk of default. But there's still, that doesn't make sense. I mean, he's saying this is just weird. This is what I don't get, man. Look, I like Larry, but to say the stocks fell by 86%, that's what he's talking downside volatility. They didn't go kaput, and if you just held on, they came back. I mean, that's just a fact. But then he's saying, he's discounting that, saying, look how risky the stocks are. They fell by 86%, but they didn't go bankrupt. But then he's using the risk-free rate of return on treasuries because they don't go bankrupt, but stocks didn't go bankrupt either. The S&P 500 absolutely did not. It fell. But you're not comparing apples to apples here. If you're going to compare volatility, then you got to look at the volatility of the 30-year Treasury, man. And there it is, right there for everyone to see. Crazy volatile. Look at that. It's volatility. Yes, it's not as volatile as the stocks, but it's volatile. So if you're going to compare not going bankrupt as the risk-free, okay, that's fine. But then you don't say, well, stocks fell by 86%, but look at treasuries, then they go bankrupt. Well, that's not a that's a heads I win, tails you lose a scenario. And just because people are people are let's see, people are willing to earn just 1.27 for 30 years because they perceive the market's risk is too high. That means nothing about your ability to invest. That means okay, but that doesn't mean they're right. Yeah, it just is weird to me. This is just so everyone else thinks the market risk is so high, so it makes no sense to look at my stocks on a risk adjusted basis because the risk is too high for what the market shows because everyone's willing to only get 1.27 to 30 of treasuries. That's just weird. This is economic fallacies, man. I mean, the argument, I hate to say it, some of these guys are so far down academia, they just lose sense of, which is weird for Larry because Spend to the End was a freaking classic book that everyone should get. But this just doesn't make sense. You might say the 6% I'm getting on my dividend reinvestments in the S&P 500 that I am anticipating is too high or too low. Okay, but let's 30 years from now, I'll either be proven I'll be right or I'll be wrong. But to say it's too low or I'm expecting too much because 1.27 is all I can get a 30 of Treasury, at some day I have to come back and make accounting for my actions. If my actions were the 6% I'm anticipating on stocks were too high because I'm only getting 1.27 risk adjusted, and then you say, well, the reason you got the 6% was because the risk was there. I said, yeah, that's why I invest in stocks. It's strange to me. Now, let's keep reading because there's a couple quotes I do want to point out. Finally, because this is critical right here. Finally, mortgage are a good hedge against inflation. If prices rise, we get to pay off our mortgage and water down dollars. The Fed is printing lots of money these days, and if it keeps doing so, it's possible that we can move from very low inflation to substantial inflation. If you pay off your mortgage, you lose that hedge. Then again, the long-term expected inflation is only 1.3%, as indicated by essentially zero return on tips. And what can go up can also go down. We can see deflation rather than inflation. We're just admitting that the long-term people don't know any more than you and I. It's just, yes, but the long-term things on the 30-year Treasury were what, 2.93 within this 52-year time frame. So they're wrong, or they might be right. We don't know. But to say the long term says we only should expect 1.27 on 30-year Treasuries. So how dare you invest in stocks because it's way too risky? It's crazy. With deflation, the real burden of our mortgages would rise. I'm telling you, that's the critical thing. With deflation, debt is bad. The second caveat is refinance rates may fall, letting you gain the benefit of low. Okay. Anyway, in short, a bird in the hand is worth two in the bush. Paying off your mortgage may not be glamorous as playing the market. It's not playing the market, but think of this as this way. You never have to make another mortgage payment for the rest of your life. Won't that feel great? And there's no way to comment here. Dismayed is too strong a word. I'm stunned how I find this argument just bad on every sense. The ultimate thing would be the lack of cash flow that has to go out the door. All right, so now that's imputed income right there. So now the fact that you don't have to pay a $400,000 mortgage, basically $500 is what it costs every $100,000 you have outstanding. So it's basically $2,000 a month. So if he were to take $2,000 a month and save that, that means he doesn't have to make $24,000 a year in income in which to pay for his mortgage, which means that's $24,000 a year. He doesn't have to make an income in which to pay tax on. So there's a value there for sure, not making that payment, but to lose $500,000 right out the gate and, there's $75,000 of cash in the savings account. And Larry, I'm not impressed with this article. Not a good article. He doesn't talk about he just says that $500,000 is going to cost $100,000 in taxes. I don't believe that at all. Why would a $500,000 only cost you 20%? That doesn't make any sense to me at all. So anyway, I'll put the link in the show notes. You read it. I'd love to hear your comments. All right, we'll see you.